Thank you very much, Sabya, High Commissioner Philip Green, Professor Raja Mohan, Consul General, all the distinguished people here, but particularly Susan and Nirmala here. You almost scared the audience. There are not going to be 3 lectures. Let me assure you, there are going to be only 2 speeches or remarks. I will be very short. The whole idea is to hold people here rather than make them look to the door. But I must say I'm very delighted today by this function, and I'll therefore like to begin on a personal note, because all these 3 gentlemen who are sitting here have in a very special way contributed to this evening. I discovered Shillong through Asian Confluence over a decade back, and I'm visiting this after almost a gap of 5 years. And I would like to begin by paying a warm tribute to Professor B.V. Datta, whose vision it was to run a kind of a blend, Philip, of IIC and IHC of Delhi in this complex. And that vision is something on which Sabya, educated and worked in US over a long period, came back to realize. So it is really a father-son project which was envisaged by the father and delivered by the son. And so I think we really are all very proud of the fact that after years and years of work, I still remember I was still Director General of the Indian Council of World Affairs in Delhi when a mutual friend brought him, he is still young but he was even younger then, to say that, Northeast, Shillong, Sabya, and we must do something on Asian Confluence and look at this whole series of activities that they have been able to do, putting Northeast on the intellectual map of India in many ways. Professor Raja Mohan is undoubtedly one of the foremost scholars, thinkers, writers, and observers of the geopolitics and foreign policy. I'm amazed that he did his master's in nuclear physics and then shifted to international relations. So the loss of nuclear physics became the gain for people like us, foreign policy lovers and admirers. And I'm very happy that he's here. I think all of you would feel the same way that I feel about him. We read him every week. So we feel that we know him and his mind, even though we may not have really met him or talked to him. But today, after the event, you should talk to him. And what can I say about my very dear friend Philip Green, except to say that our friendship was forged in the jungles of Africa. We went together to Kenya and we presented the credentials as High Commissioners of our countries to President Daniel Arap Moi. And next day, the Kenyan press was full of headlines about what the President had to say to one of us. And the entire diplomatic corps was, busy working out as to which of the 2 of us has annoyed him. Actually, neither of us had annoyed him. He was annoyed by his own esteem. But the reporting next day suggested that either Kenya-India or Kenya-Australia relations are in trouble. But that did not prevent us from working together. And obviously our governments must have noted this, because a few years later again we found ourselves in the same role in South Africa. And I used to at that time wonder whether ever Philip would be selected to come to India. And lo and behold, he did come to India after a very successful stint as ambassador to Germany. So we indeed are very happy, Philip, to see you here, and we are looking forward to your inverted comma lecture. Dear friends, when you see a round table or seminar with a long title, you should be mentally ready. It's going to be a long evening. It's virtually in 2 or 3 sentences, which means that the host is a little unsure as to whether you understand what it's all about. So I would like to set the record straight in a very analytical manner and in a very crisp manner and in a very brief manner. I feel that first of all, when you come to Northeast India, NER we call it, we have to come in a very humble attitude, because this is one region of India which first of all is not peripheral. It is as central as Rajasthan is, or Kerala is, or New Delhi is. This is the region where the ideal of unity and diversity is fully and properly projected. This is a region which has seen considerable degree of stability, peace, security and development, and yet it is a region which has a long way to go forward as well. And that's why people like you who are active in different domains occasionally have to come together under one roof and interact with people from the national capital to understand as to how we are doing and how we can do better. Obviously, NER's future depends mainly what our leaders do at the state level and at the national level, but it's also dependent on our equation with the neighborhood. It is also dependent on the larger geopolitical context, and on these things I'm sure Professor Raja Mohan would throw ample light, and all that I can say is that when we look at the Northeast, we are looking at it in the context of India's relations with Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, Bhutan, even China. There is always some sensitivity that don't talk about China in Northeast, but why not? They are there. And China is undoubtedly a major player in Asia, in the Indo-Pacific, in the world. So if somebody wants to talk about it, there should be no hesitation about that either. My second point is about our vision and concept of Bay of Bengal community. We call it BOBC. It doesn't matter that Bay of Bengal's waters don't exactly wash the shores of Northeast. We are so close there. And this is that part of India which is deeply interested in the stakes and in the future of the Bay of Bengal community. And there we know we have our own regional organization, BIMSTEC, which has been moving along, but perhaps not in an optimal manner. So last year, when BIMSTEC held its summit once in 2 years, they presented a vision of 2030, where they said that they want a prosperous and resilient and free and open BIMSTEC region. These are, of course, big words. What do they actually mean in real terms? That is what we need to understand. And in that context, while we in Delhi are very keen to talk about the larger issue of the Indian Ocean and even the Indo-Pacific region, the fact is that for people beyond the circle of scholarship, some of these very fancy doctrines and concepts, they do not mean much, but they mean a lot to people like us. And therefore, we have to remember that Bay of Bengal as part of the Indian Ocean, which incidentally is the water that connects India to Australia. Because somebody said yesterday, you're going to Shillong, what is the connection between Shillong and Sydney? Can you explain one connection? I said Indian Ocean. And so we have to remember that we have to keep looking at the map to understand the connection. And this is where my last point is. I'm very happy that India-Australia relations have been progressing very well. I think in the last decade, the progress has been phenomenal. And without an exaggeration, I think one can say as an objective observer that this relationship is probably in a better state today than it ever was. And I'm not going again in any detail about the diplomatic, political, security, strategic aspects. I just want to highlight two facts. One, the economic facets of this relationship are highly relevant to the needs and perceptions of the northeast region of India. Whether it is agriculture, sustainable development, mining, technology, innovation, there is so much more that Australian and Indian companies working together can achieve that we need to hear from our experts today on this aspect. And the second, it is the people-to-people connect. It comes to education and tourism in particular, capacity building. That is where the Australian and Indian players, if they increase their cooperation, they can achieve a lot. This is the broad context in which this roundtable dialogue has been curated and conceived today. And I'm very confident that the two speakers who are now coming to you, we will first invite Professor Raja Mohan to come and share his vision, his concept with us, and then, of course, the evening's star speaker, Australian High Commissioner, will be with you. Thank you very much.